been really a huge supporter of female bodybuilding. You've always been you weren't sort of against it when they dropped it. Are you
Right.
now? It's kind of because it's kind of proved itself over the last 7 years. I think a lot of us thought, oh, women's physique's in place, it's just going to fall away, but it didn't. It kind of thrived, with people like Jake Wood. Now Jake Wood's now the owner of the Olympia, and the Miss Olympia's coming back. How do you feel now, as about the female bodybuilding coming back to the Miss Olympia?
It's all about direction. It's all about where it's heading and where it's going. If you remember, Giles, and you've been around long enough to remember, female bodybuilding in the 80s and going into the 90s was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. They had their own magazines. They had their own, thing. Muscle and Fitness, hers was born. And, female bodybuilding, I mean, there had to be 4 or 5 publications that were out back at that time. Girls were routinely on covers and all that with Corey Everson and that whole crew.
Yeah.
Linda Murray was phenomenal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of just seemed to go a little over the top. And that's when things started to go downhill. Once it gets too extreme, now bodybuilding is extreme as it is, and men's bodybuilding is an anomaly. It's a niche. Okay, that makes female bodybuilding a niche of a niche because it doesn't have the following that men's bodybuilding does clearly. Mm-hmm. So you've got to be real careful where the direction goes. And no, I did not like the direction it was going. So I was very much in support of its demise at one point because it's like, look at. This is not helping things here. It's actually working against
but it wasn't really, they weren't killing it off. They were just replacing it. They were trying to replace it with women's physique to try and, like you said, take it back to the Corey Everson, the Linda Murray days of, because Shanique Grant, to me, she looks like a younger, more refined version of Linda Murray. It's the same silhouette.
Well, again, extremes are always difficult to sell. We, the IFBB Pro League, we're not killing it off. It was killing itself off. And it actually got down to a point. And listen, it's still not good at the national level. I mean, at the USA, at the nationals, that type of thing, there's literally a handful. I think there were like 4.
Right.
4.
Really?
At the USA. Now, that's embarrassing because there's no one coming up. Yeah. I host arguably more shows than anybody on the earth. And I can guarantee you, rarely is there a show that has more than 1 female bodybuilder. And they're usually a masters competitor that's in everything. They're in female bodybuilding, women's physique, the masters, women's body. You're going to bring 10 when they get in the center.
Yeah.
If there was 2 or 3, I mean, I haven't seen 3 in years. So the problem is it's at the bottom level that there's not a lot of support there, and that's a problem. Women's physique was put in obviously as an alternative that was going to be less freaky, less extreme, a little something more that the girls would be more apt to go for. And I think for the most part, it's been fairly successful in that.
Yeah.
Again, that's an extreme. You show a picture of a figure girl.
Yeah.
To a regular chick, and they think they're too muscular.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's not a huge. There's not a huge difference between figure and women's physique, though, is there? I mean, sometimes I don't know whether I've seen girls in photos. I'm like, well, she's physique. And they're like, no, she's actually figure. She's a figure pro winner. I'm like, wow, there's no difference. Very little.
Yeah. No, it's a fine line, and I think under Jake's guidance, I think we can get female bodybuilding back there. That's been the goal. And the goal is really to trickle it down. Okay, that's got to start at the top and it's got to trickle down. If there's no feeder system, and what we had for many years, and this is why it died pretty much, it was the same girls. It was the same 10 girls.
There was a top 6. They were untouchable. They were untouchable.
And they were all in their 40s.
Yeah.
Big difference. There was nobody in their 20s that came up where you went, wow, this is some new talent here.
Yeah.
Again, if they're not coming up through the NPC and now NPC worldwide, you got no feeder to it. It's just gonna be the same girls over and over, and it's gonna die. So with some changes and all that, and I firmly believe still, it's just a restructuring of the judging to me. If you make a certain move and you make the criteria slightly different percentage-wise, it changes the whole landscape because
it's hard though. It's hard. Remember in '91 when they tried it with Anders Schreiner at the Miss International, and the kind of the backlash from that. They tried it again with a 20% less muscle, and it's like they're constantly fighting this battle to try and say, look, ladies, come in, and then they end up judging it maybe still as a who's the biggest and hardest. It's like it's a to and fro. I don't think we're ever gonna see the last of.
The difference is always, Giles, has got to be the word female in front of bodybuilding has to mean something.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's just bodybuilding, if everybody says, well, listen, bodybuilding is bodybuilding. It doesn't matter whether it's a man or whether it's a girl. That's a problem. Okay. Because it's not going to be shared by anybody that's of significance when it comes to supporting it, backing it up, fan base, all that. No, there is a huge difference. And you can talk to Linda Murray about this because she's very adamant. And I've had many discussions with Linda that no, there is a big difference between female bodybuilding and regular men's bodybuilding.
Okay.
All right. That word female has to mean something. So it's got to be a combination. It's the best. It's not the best bodybuilder. It's the best female bodybuilder. So somebody that should embody what they're looking for. Now, to me, Giles, the mistake was not the 20% rule was ill-advised because it didn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
What you need to
20% against what? 20% of what? You know, off how you looked last year, or that girl, or.
Listen, it's a simple fix to me. You make the muscularity round worth 20% or 25% or something like that. That's easy. And the rest is accompanied of symmetry, proportion, presentation, shape, beauty, that type of thing. Presentation, of the routine, that type of thing. Make the muscularity worth less in terms of it's not 5. I mean, it's bodybuilding, but maybe it's worth 25%. Now you've got every rationale in the world to score it the way you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so the biggest, most muscular, freaky girl is not going to probably win because that's only worth 25% of your score. Easy.